like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like I was that type of like almost delusional type of self-confidence. And just, it was just, I loved it so much that I didn't really care. But of course, when you're older, you get like these flashbacks.
Well, hello, Becca. Thank you so much again for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music and all about the new song. I think it came out today, right?
It did. Yeah. It came out
Okay.
at midnight. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I had a chance to hear it a few days ago.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah, it's an awesome song. So I'd love to talk to you about that as well.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, we always start off where you're born and raised. Where were you born and raised?
So I was born and raised in Orange County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Southern California then?
Yeah.
Okay,
Basically,
cool.
I just, my whole life, I've just gone more and more south. And as much as I work in LA, I've never lived in LA.
Really? How south are you now? Are you in San Diego?
I'm like right in between San Diego and LA. And so I'm kind of like, so I'm in a place near somewhere called Temecula.
Oh, I know exactly. I'm from San Diego, so
Okay,
I know
nice.
exactly what you're talking about. So are
Yeah.
you in Temecula?
I'm like right next to it. It's in this place called Menifee.
Oh, yes, I know
Yeah, it's kind
Menifee.
of like new and up and coming, but I was
Sure.
fortunate enough to buy a house out here like a year and a half ago. So at the time it was like,
Oh, yeah.
you get the biggest, best houses for I mean, I've probably the cheapest in California. So
I
I
know. I
decided,
remember when that was booming. Actually,
yeah.
my wife used to work, this is a handful of years ago. She used to work for the community college there
Okay.
in Menifee. It was like by a taco shop and like I can't remember, but yeah, it's
Is it Mount
there's
San Jacinto? Is it that one?
yes, yes,
Oh,
that's
okay,
it.
yeah,
So she used to work for them. Like this is years
okay.
ago. So
That's awesome.
I know Menifee quite well, and that's also how you can get to like the 10 to get out to Palm Springs and all that.
Right. It's like one of those places is like it's close, but at the same time far from everything. It's like
Hmm.
an hour from Orange County. It's like an hour and a half from LA. It's an hour to San Diego, probably an hour to Palm Springs. So yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of central east there for
Yeah.
sure. Were you born there or no? You said Orange County.
Orange County, yeah.
Okay, where did you grow up then? What part of Orange County?
Um, I lived in this place called Rancho Santa Margarita.
Okay, I know that place as well.
Yeah, those are kind of like my first memories. I'm sure I lived in other areas, but I really like have memories starting to remember my life in Rancho Santa Margarita. So
Okay, and then did you go to when did you move to Menifee? Is that recent? Because you said you bought a house there.
yeah, so I recently moved to Menifee, but I did live in Temecula for years.
Oh, okay.
That was probably when I was 10-ish, 10, 11. Yeah, and then I lived in Corona for a little bit before that. So it was just like gradually.
Oh,
That's
you've
what I
been
mean. I was
bouncing
just
around.
like,
Yeah, you've been bouncing
yeah,
around Southern California there for a bit,
yeah.
sounds like.
It's
Awesome.
funny because I've never even been to Northern California either, like living in Cali my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, so like I only know SoCal life.
That's interesting. I lived in the Bay Area or in San Francisco for a handful of years as well, and then came back down to San Diego. But now I moved to Tennessee, so I live in Nashville now.
Oh, I was just there.
Oh, really?
I shot the video for my song in Nashville.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
Awesome. Do you come out here quite often?
So, it's something new that started. Um, so for years I really wanted to write a country song.
Hmm.
And, my career has just taken a very interesting turn of events. Obviously, always the goal was for me to be an artist, and I kind of got pulled in all these different directions from people around me, and from saying you'd get money and you'd get this, and if you do that, then you'll just become an artist because you have the money for it. And it's much more complicated than everybody made it sound. But I was 16, 17, 18 around all these adults. So one of my first cuts was R. Kelly. I came in being
Right.
like the rap girl, trap girl, whatever. Then I got a super pop song with Jessica Malboy in Australia.
Hmm.
I worked with Lucas Graham, did ultra pop records in Denmark. You know what I mean? So I have all these things, and it was like every stage in my career, it's like, oh, well, you do that, so you can't write this type of song, and you do that, so you can't write that type of song, and you know what I mean?
Hmm.
You just get typecast so quickly. So now I have kind of unintentionally become the K-pop girl, right? Which is
Right,
like
right.
it's been great. I
That's
love
yeah. I
it.
want to talk to you about that because that's such a cool venture. It's
Yeah, I mean, it's been a big blessing, but at the same time, it comes with, well, now I can only write for K-pop artists
right now you're the
because
K-pop,
that's the
exactly,
biggest thing,
songwriter.
right? So I went to multiple people saying, "Hey, I really want to write a country song." And for a certain part of my life, I grew up listening to Shania Twain and Garth Brooks and all these people. And I'm just one of those people that like can do and love lots of different type of music.
Hmm.
So I brought it to people and they're like, well, I don't think that's gonna fit for you. I don't think that's gonna work. So actually that this last year has just been like a really eye-opening for me about a lot of things. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Nashville. I'm just gonna pay for my flight. I'm gonna pay for my ticket. And I'm gonna hit up people I know that have been and
Hmm.
just see if they know anyone that will let me work with them. And so I did my first trip out there earlier this year, and I got to work with Sam Sumner and Sean Small, who did Lizzo's Juice, and I got to work
Yeah.
with like just really dope, amazing people. And I ended up only doing one country song, but I think it's so beautiful. And the people that I did play it for that are country are like, this isn't even country pop. This is like
That's
country
cool.
like melodies. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I hope that that's eventually something that happens,
Hmm.
along my career. But yeah, it's
Well,
one of
what's
those
interesting about Nashville is it's not all country. I mean, I moved
things.
here thinking that I'm not a big fan. It's terrible to say, but I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, I don't really love country music. I didn't move here being like, I love country music. I
Right.
can't wait to get to Nashville. It's
Yeah.
like I moved here and there's every genre of music you could possibly think of, and people
Yeah.
that have wrote the biggest pop songs or the biggest,
Right.
that live here in this town. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's true. It's actually a shot. Like I went there and I was so ready for I was like telling everybody because I'd never been. And as I've gone to Japan and Korea and all these places. I really haven't traveled in America. So I was like, when I get there, I'm like, I bet that when there's not even like sliding doors, it's like saloon doors when you leave
You're like,
the
I gotta get a
airport and like
cowboy hat. I gotta get some
like someone's
spurs.
gonna
Like,
be standing
right,
outside the airport like this town ain't big enough for a chicken bus,
right.
right? Like I was gonna have to do a shoot off standoff to get
Sure.
into the city, like,
Some wagon will pick you up.
and then nobody had an accent and I was so mad. I'm like, everybody sounds normal, like from Cali
Well,
or
there are people. Well, I will say though, there's a huge population of California people here that have recently moved, which is
right.
very
I mean,
interesting.
I was considering it as well, but who knows where that'll go. But yeah, I mean, I wanted a little bit of twang,
You
I
wanted a
wanted
couple y'alls.
a couple y'alls, like I just wanted some, hey little lady, like a little just some authentic
Sure.
Nashville, but I didn't really get it. So, and then I went back a second time, didn't really get it the second time either. So I'm like, okay, maybe I have to go to Chattanooga or like maybe I need to
Just
go
venture a little
around.
south.
Yeah.
Were you actually in Nashville? I live south down in the suburbs, so you'll
Oh,
get
okay.
quite a few y'alls down here
Okay.
and some farms. It's quite nice.
I mean, for the most part, people were really nice there. So,
Yeah, I thought the same thing though. I'm like, this is
yeah,
going to be a country town, but no,
right.
all
Not at all.
genres and big pop stars live here and everything
Right.
else. But okay, well, now I'm curious to go back quite a bit here.
Okay.
Moved around. Were
Yes.
you from a musical household at all?
Um, Not really. Well, okay. So I had a brother and two sisters that could sing. And apparently, I think my dad used to play the drums, but I don't have the closest family. But
Mhm.
at one point in time, everyone was around, and this is when I was like, I'm gonna be a superstar, right? And my whole family, when I would go to sing karaoke, they'd be like, Becca, please let somebody else sing. Like nobody thought that I was good. Nobody really believed in it. Actually, my grandma would leave the room when I would sing because I wasn't singing gospel music. So I
Oh,
had,
that must
I
have
had a,
been pretty heartbreaking. Like, was
I
that
mean,
traumatic? Ouch.
it was, I had this beautiful thing when I was younger that I'm trying to get back to, and I wish I was like that now. But I had this beautiful naivety about me when I was young. And so
Hmm.
when someone didn't like what I did, I would just be like, let me replay that because I don't think you were listening. You know what I mean? Like
I don't think you
I
heard me. Hang on.
exactly, yeah. Like I was like, I'm the greatest, like you don't know what you're talking about. Like I was that type of like almost delusional type of self-confidence. And just it was just I loved it so much that I didn't really care. But of course, when you're older, you get like these flashbacks and you're like, oh damn, like you can comprehend more, and you know life more and you've been through things. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely tough. I mean, even in school, I would ask my teachers at the end of class, can I sing for the class after? And some of them would let me. And
Wow.
then I would like in school, I would always be humming, and the kids would be like, Becca, shut up. We get it. You sing. You know what I mean? It was like, but I actually went to a school with Tori Kelly, and I went to,
Oh,
you know,
you did. Okay. I
yes,
was gonna say she grew up out there.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
met her before she blew up, but she was doing YouTube,
Oh, yeah,
and
she became big on. I've interviewed her before. She's got a cool story as well. Yeah, she
yeah.
got big off YouTube and just YouTube collaborations.
Right, yeah. And it was just like the way she was treated growing up compared to how I was treated being a singer. It's like Tori Kelly sings all the national anthems and this and this and that. And then it's
Oh,
like,
really?
when I tried to do it, or if like I've done it a couple times, but like it was never like the people around the school would be like, oh my God, Tori Kelly, and she's great, so I'm not hating on her at all, but like
Right.
there was never that. It was always like, well, we know you, like we get it. You know what I mean? It wasn't, so I always felt like I was the underdog, and my whole life story is just kind of feeling like an underdog. But I low-key love it because people see me and they don't expect what I can do or what I sound like or whatever. And they
Yeah.
don't expect me to go do these things. And then I do them and it's the best. And I love it. you
Sure.
know?
Well,
So
coming
yeah.
from like being this person that's always singing, when did you start writing songs? Because that's what kind of really started your career, right? Was
Yeah.
songwriting?
So basically, they went hand in hand. So,
Hmm.
I always sang. And then when I was 10, my parents divorced. And I wrote my first song ever called I'm Stronger about the situation. And it
Hmm.
kind of became where any and everything I went through, like if I liked a boy, if I went through something at school, I would write a song about it. And I went and I showed my mom one day and I was like, hey, do you want to hear the song that I wrote? And I sang it for her. But at the time, I had no backing tracks. So I would just hear melodies in my mind and write full songs and remember all the
Oh,
melodies.
wow.
And
And
I would
just sing
write
it
them
a
in my,
cappella to your mom?
exactly. Yeah, it was just
Wow.
acapella. So my mom is like, so where'd you get this melody from? And I'm like, I heard it in my head. And she goes, you heard it in your head? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, no, but like, is it like a Britney Spears song or like, and I'm like, no. And so I feel like it was around this time my mom started taking me more seriously. And so I
Hmm.
would just like fill notebooks. And I'm doing all this because I thought that Destiny's Child was out here writing Bootylicious, right? Like I had no idea, like probably until I was like 15, 16, when I really got in the industry and was going to publishers and whatever. I remember I took this meeting at BMI with this guy named Malik Levy. And I sang all my songs a cappella. I didn't have anything recorded. So I just played, but I did have tracks at this time. So I played the tracks and I sang live. And he goes, who's writing these songs with you? And I go, no one. And he goes, no, I know, but like who? And I'm like, nobody. And he's like, you're writing all of these songs at 16? And I'm like, well, some were when I was 15. you know? And he's like, holy crap. And so his next meeting was James Fauntleroy, who, I'm young, I don't know anything, but he has gone on to become just like a huge writer, did
Hmm.
a bunch of Justin Timberlake. At that time, he was most known for No Air for Jordan Sparks and Chris
Yeah.
Brown. So he comes in and I do the same thing for him that I just did for Malik. And James starts laughing and he goes, you're an artist in case you didn't know. And I go, no, I know, and no, I
Like,
knew.
go and tell you go. Yeah, you don't got to tell me twice. So come on.
Right. But then, but at this time, so that's still the intention is still the intention. And I'm writing all my songs because I'm thinking every artist is writing their songs. So it wasn't until I was like 16 that I even knew that there was this whole undercover songwriting world, which is kind of ironic because music was my life,
Hmm.
but I didn't know it existed. And so, like I said, it was kind of like the people around me were like, well, if you write a number one song, you can go and be an artist because you can fund yourself. And if you do that and you do that, and I had a single mom, we shared a car, I lived in Temecula, I would have to drive you know, gas wasn't what it is now, but it was a time where gas was really high again, you know, and I'm driving an expedition every single day, you know, and my mom is like trying to find the money for the gas for me to go and do all these things and live my dreams, you know. And so when I turned 18, I started working with this lawyer named Daniel Stewart, who just messaged me like days after I got rid of the management I had from 16 to 18. And he goes, "What's your situation?"
Oh,
And from
wow.
16 to 18, unfortunately, my management couldn't really get any deals for me. And the one that they did get was just really bad, and I didn't sign it. So
Well,
Daniel
real quick,
Stewart,
I don't know if you mind backing up for just a
no, no,
quick
go ahead,
second. I'm curious to know, how did you get this initial meeting at BMI when you were, what you said, 15 years old, 16
I
years
was
old?
16. Yeah.
How did that happen? Did somebody hear your song or?
So I had okay, so uh I had management. This guy named Alan Rich managed me, and he wrote Run to You for Whitney Houston from The Bodyguard. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so he was like a big songwriter, kind of, you
And
know, more back in the
how do
day.
you meet him? Sorry, I want to
So
like
no,
get
totally
down to
fine.
this. Okay.
So for a very short amount of time, I was doing YouTube videos and I was remixing like Heart in the Paint by Waka Flocka, but I do all new lyric and I would sing over it. And then I
Oh,
did
okay.
a Pretty Girl Swag, and that got like 20,000 views in like a day or two. And then it was just like, and then I was like building a presence on Twitter and this and this and that.
Got
So
it.
my mom's stepsister, I guess, used to be an A&R. And she happened to reach out to my mom and asked, "Oh, what's going on? How have you guys been?" Right. And so my mom sends one of my YouTube videos and she goes, "Do you mind if I send this to some people? I really think Becca has something special." So one of the people she sends it to is
Okay.
Alan Rich.
Wow.
So
Okay.
he
Cool.
rents out a
Cool.
rehearsal space for me and I perform live for him again, a cappella. And he's like, you know, "Would you let me manage you?" So basically that's how that happened,
Okay. Okay.
how
Cool.
like a lot of things from 16 to 18 started happening. And then after, you know, our relationship didn't work out, a couple days later, this guy, Daniel Stewart, hits me up and goes, "Hey, what's your situation?" And I'm like, "Crazy you would ask. I am totally alone.
I'm
I
available.
have nothing and no one." And he goes, "Hey, well, would you want to come to my office?" So I go meet him. It's a Friday. I play him my new songs, tell him what I want to do, and he goes, "You know, I get it. I see the vision. I think you're super special. If you let me, I'll start working for you on Monday." So after 2 years of getting really nothing, 3 months of working with this lawyer, I got 4 publishing deal offers. And that was with no cuts. I had no cuts at the time. It was just
Whoa.
based off of, you know,
Your
talent or
song. Yeah.
potential, you know. So I decided to go with Warner Chappell. And
Which is here in
then
Nashville, right?
well, no, so it was in LA. They have one in LA
Okay.
as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have all these different bases. There's in New York, there's Nashville, there's LA.
Got it.
So I signed to the LA one. And then that is kind of what got me into the writing thing. But when I signed, I told the girl, "Look, I'm an artist, but I need money.
Mhm.
That is why I'm doing this. So when I try to go do my artist thing, don't be upset, you know?" And she's like, "Of course. Yeah, totally. I get it." And of course that's not how it went, you know.
Of
There was
course.
an issue, you know, because that's the hard thing. Once you become a songwriter and that becomes your main bread and butter and that becomes how everybody knows your name, it is very difficult to get people to believe in you or um, you know, see you as something else, because songwriting is the quickest way to a check for most people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So when you want to be an artist, even though you've always been an artist, you've still been doing it the whole time, you know, it's just you've been waiting for opportunities. And I almost had a deal at one time. There's all these things that have happened, you know. But it's really hard to like get out from under the shadow of songwriting and like step into the light, you know.
If
Uh,
somebody were to want to just, do songwriting, is that something like, if you sign a deal with Warner Chappell,
mhm.
obviously they put you in rooms now with songwriters, right? Like, okay, is that kind of what happens? Or they just go home and write songs and then we'll see if we can pitch those to people? Or is it a little bit of both?
I mean, it depends.
Oh,
One, you have
okay.
to have someone that really believes in you know, and then there's the possibility that your A&R leaves or gets fired, right? So now you have no one.
Right. So
You
you
have
have
to
your own, you have an A&R at the publishing company that is, as well. it's separate from if you were an artist. Like if you're signed to a if you're signed to a label, if you're signed to Atlantic or whatever, and you have an A&R that picked you up, oh, found you, okay, discovered you,
Right.
signed you. The same
Yeah.
thing as it goes for songwriters. Sorry, I'm just ignorant to it. I was just
Oh
curious
no,
because this
you're
is
totally fine.
fascinating.
Yeah, so when you sign to a publisher, there are A&Rs as well.
Okay,
So
got you.
they're supposed to, try to facilitate things, help you get placements, yada yada
Right.
yada.
Get
That
you in rooms, right, with other people that are writing songs to help you boost, like it puts you in a room with somebody that's writing a song, maybe the pitch for this artist.
right.
Got it.
But that is that's a long game. That's a,
Okay, so
and
that's way down the line.
well, no, it's like it'll happen. It happens when you sign, right? But a lot of these things, it's like if you don't have a relationship with an artist and you don't have a direct in from knowing somebody, it is very hard that a random session of a
Well,
song, no matter how great it is
mm-hmm,
very hard to get that song placed. I mean, I've written thousands of songs, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
Some of my favorite songs I've ever written never came out. You know what I mean? Um, so it has to be the right timing, the right situation, the right artist.
Got you.
And
Okay.
yeah, and then again, like I said, there are some A&Rs that are amazing at their job and they're very passionate, but then there's other ones that it's like pulling teeth to try to get a meeting, to try to get those sessions.
Mm-hmm. And
And
meanwhile, are you getting paid like a salary, or are you just like sitting around hoping that you could get waiting on the sidelines? Like, all right, am I going to get in and get a chance here, or how does this work?
I mean, that's the other thing that it just, there's this perception from the outside in, right? Oh, you
Right.
write songs, you do this, you're rich, you're a
Oh
millionaire,
yeah, that I was on the radio for 17 years and people thought that. I'm like, only if you knew.
Yeah,
Only if you
yeah. I
knew.
mean, basically, when you sign, you get an advance. But in my case,
Okay.
I had no cuts. And
Mhm.
so my
So
advance
they're
was
not, they're
small.
just, yeah, or they're just like, we're going to give you an opportunity here.
Right. So I mean, yeah. I mean, I know
That's your advance.
I know people that sign deals for a Rolex, like they for a watch, like no money. Like they just got a watch and then it was like the worst terms deal ever. Like some people have signed crazy deals, right? My deal was not a good deal.
Okay.
It was at the end of the MDRC era, which is basically it's all about physical sales, which
Hmm.
is
Yeah,
non-existent. I mean, it's
exactly.
kind of going back with like people being into records and
It's more
stuff
of,
like
yeah,
that,
for vinyl or limited
right?
stuff, right?
But
Limited
it but
pressings,
it
autographed stuff.
it's still not significant enough to
Hmm.
to try to keep the same method that was used when everything only came out on CD and tape.
Right.
You know what I mean? So basically, I had an 8-song MDRC deal, which meant that I had to write 16 songs at 50%, and they had to be on an album. Singles didn't count, and only stuff in America counted, nothing international counted. So for years, the only credit I had was a 16 point something percent from the R. Kelly song, and all my
Oh,
Blackpink
wow.
stuff didn't count.
Really?
Yes, so I was stuck in that deal for a long time, and I'm very grateful that I got my deal reworked a couple years
Uh-huh.
ago, so that is not my
Sure.
scenario
But
anymore.
wow.
But
Okay. So
but
that's
that's the
interesting
kind
how
of
they
deals.
knock it down to countries and all of that
Yeah,
too. Wow. Okay.
yeah. So, you have to be very careful. And I don't know, I'm one of those people, I'm just very real and honest. And maybe I shouldn't say some stuff. I don't know. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. But, there's this whole thing, there's an industry thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And there's some, like, I was a young girl at 18 that was like, even if I never got paid, as long as I could sing to the world, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's like,
Right.
you, but it's crazy how many writers and artists are in, like, the industry is oversaturated at this point, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
There's so many people in it. So for the next young girl or guy like me, like, I would want to kind of put them on game, because now that I'm older, I look back like, weren't you supposed to have my back? Why did I sign this? Why did I do that? Why did this person tell me to do this? And
Hmm.
I think it's very important that, sometimes you look at a situation and you think, oh, this is my only chance. This is the deal. I only have this one deal. And this
Right.
is the thing that's gonna, change my life.
And
And
and I'm
sometimes,
sure they kind of make you feel that way too. Like,
yeah,
oh, at least from my experience in, in radio and everything, they would present you this trash deal and
Right,
sell it to you as if we're giving you this great
right,
opportunity and there's
right,
a million other people that would take this, so you better take it or you're an
right,
idiot,
right.
basically.
Yeah. And sometimes, you feel that and you feel this pressure. And at the moment, you might be like strapped for cash, right? Like I
Mhm.
need money. I need a way to provide this, and that. I need a car, whatever.
Mhm.
But sometimes if you just hold out a little bit longer, as difficult as it is for you, there'll be something even better waiting. And then you got yourself wrapped up in the situation. Like I have been in my deal for 10 years this November.
Wow.
So basically from 20 to I'll be 30 in 2 years. But
Oh,
um,
okay. Well, I'm not even gonna tell you how old I am.
um, but yeah, so like it's just crazy because I feel like once I turn 22, I've never not been 22. Like it's just weird. Like when people ask me my age, I'm like, I'm 20. Um, but yeah, so basically like 10 years of my like a huge portion of my life's been at the same
Mhm.
publisher. So I find my deal finally ends next year. So I'm excited to see what new opportunities there are. But yeah, I mean it's been a wild ride. Um,
Sure. Well, okay. So now you send this deal. You eventually get this R. Kelly cut, and did that
right.
come from? Tell me, I guess, a little bit about that, because that must have started the ball rolling, right? Because once you get that, then maybe it opens up doors, or you get other opportunities from that. Like, or was there something that happened prior to that, or am I totally off? I guess you tell
So
me.
I mean it depends. Yeah. So okay, I got this R. Kelly cut. I had a session with this guy that knew R. Kelly and we did this song and I came up with this idea like about Oreos. And I don't know if you've heard the song, but
I have. I know what
okay,
you're talking
yeah.
about.
So I came
Mhm.
up, I'm like, what if we said, would this be crazy to say? What if we said, like an Oreo, right? And then the song happened, whatever. It got played for R. Kelly. He really liked it. He wrote a third verse. The song came out, voila. I thought, oh shit, I'm about to be in every single room, right? And
Right.
that's
Right.
not how it goes. Like, it's just not how it is. Like, you can have one of the biggest songs and you can still get sessions. But it just, honestly, every time I've had a song come out, I'm like, this is a song. It's changing everything. And
Mhm.
every time I'm like, waiting by the phone, it's not ringing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? It's just a very cutthroat industry. And you have to really have momentum, like song after song and this and that, and get like making people like always being in people's face and at the forefront of their mind.
Mhm.
So that happened and that got a number one in Australia with Jessica Malboy, and I'm like, oh snap, I never even been to Australia. That's impressive as shit, right? Like
Right, totally. You're like, I've never been there, got a number one record there,
right.
no big deal.
And the girl working with me at the time at my publisher was like, well, I mean, it's not a number one in America, so who cares, and I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell, like,
You're like, do you know
so
how many
it's
big bands have came out of Australia?
right, no, I know. And then, it was like that for K-pop at first as well, because I was there way before it was popular.
Mhm.
And I knew of a group called 21, and that's why I really wanted to write for them. And I got out there and I started getting all these number ones in Korea and nobody cared either. Well, that's Korea. It's like what's the market? What's the number of the market in the world? It was just like everything
Ah,
brushed off, nobody cared,
it's
and
like
then
similar to like if you made it big in a certain market here in the States, like, oh, cool, like you sold out this town of 50, type
right.
deal. Okay, I
Right.
got you.
It was like one of those because there's like ranked markets and Japan
Yeah,
was
yeah.
really like I think is one of the top markets in the world as well for music.
Mhm.
So it was just kind of like, nobody cared again. And then during my time there, I met these trainees who there were seven of them. And I got asked, hey, can you give him some of your songs to sing? And can you like maybe go and vocal produce them for that song that you wrote? And can you do this and that, whatever? Well, those girls went from 7 to 4, and then they went to being called Blackpink. So,
That's crazy.
it was like I've, been around for a while. And because of all my work before that, I
Uh-huh.
happened to get brought into this thing that nobody knew what it was going to be. It was just these young girls that were, we'd go and we'd watch them perform in the downstairs dance area and then, give critiques and, whatever. And it just, I mean, it just blew up bigger than anybody would have ever known. So it's like, I just feel like a lot of things that have happened in my life were kind of by accident, or just
Mhm.
like there is no, there was no thought of, oh, this is gonna, like,
Right. This is the moment that it's gonna all
right.
kind of change.
Yeah.
With that though, I mean, you obviously, or maybe you do. Do you speak Korean? Like they translate all the songs then?
So yeah, I don't really speak Korean that much. I can understand a little bit after living there for a while, and I had a Korean tutor, but it's very hard for me to rearrange the sentence structure. So like I can
Hmm.
say certain phrases, but like I can't really put a sentence together. But yeah, so most of the time all the songs get written in English. Like they start in English. Like even from the other person I work with that speaks in like is fluent in Korean. He even
Hmm.
writes all the songs in English before putting them in Korean.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you watch the videos, like if you watch a video from Blackpink when
Mhm.
they're singing, it translates it on the screen. Like
Right,
they'll
yeah,
give you the English
right.
lyrics.
Well, I
That's
mean,
why I
but
was
that's
curious
also
to
I
see
mean,
if that was kind of how, like if you wrote them out and you're like, okay, this is how the songs go, this is the melody, blah blah blah, and then somebody can translate this, I guess.
well, there's some things that in English just don't translate well to Korean. So
Got
sometimes
it.
if the song is written a certain way in English, it'll be all new concept and lyric in Korean. So if I, the
Hmm.
past couple songs like Money, that was in all English, that I wrote originally. And then like La Lisa that came out, so that has some Korean in it,
Hmm.
but it was all, you know, concepts get tweaked a little,
Hmm.
certain words in English stay, but
Right, like
a lot of
Whistle.
times
Like when
it's
I
like
watched Whistle, they that's the hook is she sings it
right,
in English, or they sing it in English, but then it obviously doesn't stay
yeah,
that way.
yeah, it just depends on the moment, but yeah, like, because if you're seeing some of the translations of some of the songs, that's not what the English was. It's just because Korean, there's certain phrases in Korean that it translates weird in English when you're reading it. You're like, "Oh, that's kind of a random sentence," but it makes sense in
Hmm.
Korean. So, yeah, it could be difficult to make everything. Like also because we have so much slang in America that to
Hmm.
translate that into Korean can also like there's no word for it, you know?
Right, right, right. So, well, you write for both. You still write songs for other people as well as doing your artist project,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, because I did see that you wrote a song for that "Marry Me" film, and you wrote it
Oh, yeah.
with Jenna Andrews.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she's cool. I've had a chance to chat with her before as well,
Yeah,
and
she's
she's in that
awesome.
K-pop world too with BTS.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and like so, when does your obviously you always wanted to be an artist. So when does that actually get to happen for you, where you get to release a song that is yours? You get to come out as Bekuh BOOM, and you're like, okay, here's my artist project. Here's my song that's not something that you're going to take and try to pitch or.
I mean, there's definitely moments of intention where I'm like, I go in knowing like I'm not gonna give this song. I don't care who it is. Like this song is for me.
Mhm.
And but I think again with me, some people say it's impossible to be a writer and artist at the same time. But I disagree because I feel like with someone like me, like writing comes very, very easily to me. And I have so many ways of saying things and so many styles that it's like I don't think there will ever be a time where every single song I write could just go to me. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have so much stuff that can go to other people. But then there's the Becca Bloom as an artist. It's like I know exactly what I want to say. This is me. This is who my target audience, and I have a message that is relayed through these songs. And I'm kind of at the point now where I took the back seat for so long, kind of not even knowing I was in the back seat. It was like
Mhm.
waiting for certain promises, and then those promises never came for me, but like everyone else kind of took off, and all these other things I was doing, it worked out for everyone else, but my artisting got like pushed back. And
Mhm.
so I'm at the point now where I'm independent, like I'm not signed as an artist, and I want to just take my artist career in my own hands, and do what I want to do when I want to do it. I'm not going to sit here and wait for you to offer me, this, and that. And then I'm just waiting for months and it doesn't happen, like I'm
Mhm.
just not going to live that life anymore. As an artist, you have this idea of, oh, if I could come out in the most grand way and I have this and I have this huge budget for that. I mean, that's any artist's dream, but it'll just stay a dream if you sit there for years waiting for it to happen.
Mhm.
And, like, I have a daughter, I have a 4-year-old,
Oh,
and
congratulations.
thank
I
you,
have a
and
6-year-old and a
oh,
14-year-old.
oh, yeah, best of both worlds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um, but yeah, for me as a mom to especially to a little girl, it's like I look at her and I'm like, "Oh, you can have the world, you can have this, you can have that." And I kind of felt that dying in me a little bit after, like, for myself, because I've gone through so much. I've been in the industry for so long, and it
Mhm.
kind of you feel like, oh, maybe it's not for me, and maybe it won't, this and that. But then I had this like kind of like spark come into my life this year where I was like, what a hypocrite I am, knowing that I'm gonna grow up, and my daughter's gonna grow up with me telling her, you can do anything, you can be anything, you can have anything you want, you can have any dream that you dream, you can go make happen. And then one day she's gonna ask me about me, and I'm gonna say, well, I want to do this, and that, but instead I got shoved in the back room and I wrote songs for everyone else, and then I had you, and then I just gave up on everything. It's like it makes no sense. And it's like, as women that become mothers, right? It's like once you become a mother, there's all these unrealistic expectations put on you, and it's like you are a mom, you don't even have a name anymore.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
as yes, I'm a mother, I love that, I love my daughter, she's the greatest, but I'm a woman, and at one point, even to this day, my mom thought about me what I think about my daughter, and I'm just as entitled to go and pursue my dreams as I look at my daughter and think you can have anything, like
Mhm.
why don't I feel that for me anymore? So it's been this whole thing for me where, you know, you that's the other thing about the music industry and just life in general. People think that when they see you a certain way and see these accomplishments, that your life is yes, 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 this, money, cash, blah, blah, right?
Right.
It's I can't even tell you. I mean, probably in the thousands, how many times, "Oh, one day you'll be a hit songwriter, but yeah, your songs are not hits. Oh, no, next time. I don't think you should be an artist. Oh, you wanna rap? You should just be a singer. Oh, I don't like your singing. You should just be a rapper." Like, I mean, for most of my life, from 16 till now, it's everyone has an opinion. Everyone wants to tell you why you can't do something, why you're not good enough. They wanna tell you no.
Mhm.
And so I think it's impossible for that to have zero effect on you. Over time, it all like creeps up, and you kind of get to that point where I don't know, maybe are they right? And
Mhm.
that's what I was saying earlier, that girl that I was when I started of like, are you crazy? Did you not listen? You know what I mean? Like I'm in my moment of getting back to her, and I love what I do. I love my music. Like I'm my biggest fan. My daughter sings my songs too,
That's cool. Yeah, yeah.
what I'm being for myself, I want to empower other people that listen to my music to feel like that. Like I want them to have that 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the car on the way to
Mhm.
a job that they hate, about to have a shitty day. I want them to have that 3 minutes and 30 seconds of feeling like they are the baddest motherfucker on the planet, like, joy, bliss, whatever emotion that's being expressed. I want them to feel that wholeheartedly for that 3 minutes and 30 seconds,
Mhm.
and know that that was their safe space and that was their like moment to feel bigger than anything.
I love that.
So yeah.
Well, you didn't was the last song prior to Anime Eyes, the song Designer Love? Was that
It
the one
was,
before?
yeah,
So you had a couple years in between putting a song out,
I
under your
did.
name.
Yes.
Okay. What
And
was it
basically,
just because you were doing other projects or you were just writing with other people or like what made you decide this is my song again. Here's Anime Eyes. I love the song. I'm putting it out.
well, it was kind of, it was like pandemic era.
Sure.
And I just kind of like when Designer Love was coming out, I was like getting out of this negative place that I had been in. And then pandemic happened, and then I kind of sunk back into that. And so I just had a lot of like, I was just struggling
Hmm.
with a lot mentally and emotionally, and I just didn't feel good about myself, and was in that darker mode of like, well, maybe it's not this, maybe it's not that, and it's hard when you put out a song and you want every song to be that song that pops off, and sometimes it doesn't happen, and then that can weigh on you as well. So it was just kind of my moment to like, it was kind of like my little pity party moment. I mean, I was still working, I was doing other stuff.
Hmm.
And then also just enjoying my daughter and being home and enjoying my house. And, I just got really sunken into like, I'm like half introvert, half extrovert, right?
Hmm.
So like I really went full like, introvert. And yeah, so it was more that, it was more a personal thing. It wasn't necessarily like I didn't think any song would be good for me. I did work on songs for myself during that time. But yeah, like I said, I'm at a place now where I'm like, I actually sat on this idea for Anime Eyes. I had this idea for the song for like a year, and I just
Oh,
never
wow.
felt like the producers I was with, like, one, like they might give me a hard time and not let me have the track, or like charge me something crazy, or, maybe it's just like, I don't want to start this idea. And then, because once you get too many cooks in the kitchen, it's very hard to like, everybody wants something.
Right.
So I brought it to my friend Cook Classics, who was amazing, and it just like felt right. And so that was finally Anime Eye's moment to shine. So it's a little bit of that. It's about strategy, personal, all that type of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Cook Classics has done a bunch of big records.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So, yeah. So was that something you just kind of knew that that's who you wanted to go with, or it just kind of happened organically like that?
So, I mean, he's kind of the one person over the pandemic that like we would Zoom frequently, we would do
Oh,
songs,
cool.
and I really, really value him. I think he's just the best. And it just kind of, yeah, it just made sense. And he's always been fully supportive of me in all endeavors with my artist stuff as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was just kind of like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think about it? Would you be willing? And yeah, it just kind of happened naturally and organically. And then at the end, it was, me being my perfectionist self of like, can you fix this? Can you take that out? Can you add that? Can you do that? So I
Sure.
probably drove him crazy at the end, but he's the best. Yeah.
Well, it's a great song.
Thank you.
Do you have obviously you're probably always writing, but is it going to be like, do you have a body of work you want to release as an artist, or just more singles?
So I'm probably gonna do two more singles throughout this year, and then
Hmm.
beginning of next year, I want to put out either an EP or like a mini album type of thing. But yeah, I already have about 5 songs lined up.
Oh, exciting.
And then, like seeing if I can squeeze anything new in there and exciting, that might beat out one of the other ones. But definitely that is the goal, to release a whole thing. I've done the singles thing, but I feel very, very confident and strongly about the songs I'm putting out this year. Like, I love Anime Eyes so much. I feel like it's a huge representation of who I am as an artist. And I
Hmm.
think it's a little more, I have like these two sides to me, and one is less confident and it's like my normal regular self, right? And then I go in Bekuh BOOM mode, and like the regular me is like really like right, like just like weird and goofy and always making jokes and this and that. And Bekuh BOOM is more like fierce, confident, like I don't give a fuck,
Hmm.
type of vibe. And I feel like, all my friends know me as my goofy, weird self. Like they get to see both. And so I feel like Anime Eyes is kind of like, I still get to be strong and confident and fierce in this, but it's kind of like, I'm kind of like an anime nerd, and I like watch anime all the time. And I have like pin boards of anime, and I have like all this anime merch and gear or whatever. And so it's a little bit more of like who I actually am.
Hmm.
And with the blend of it. So, and then my next song that I'm going to be putting out is like a more sexy vibe. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know, I just feel like these next couple songs just feel like they have a certain magic in them that, I love my other songs I put out, but I just feel like these ones really, you know they got that extra something. So
Very cool. Very cool.
yeah.
Well, again, I love what you're doing. I love the song that you just put out, "In My Eyes," and I can't wait to hear this. this next one when it finally comes out. And I appreciate your time today. This has been so much fun, Becca. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I have one more question for you before I let you go.
Okay.
Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Oh, okay. My advice would be really, if you really, really believe in something, an idea, a song, don't just give up because somebody says no. Um, there is going to be so many people that want to be able to say, oh, I told her, you know why she did that? You know why he did that? I told them to do that. I told them that. A lot of people give opinions or advice because they just want to be a part of something. So don't go and change everything about yourself or when you really believe in something you're saying or doing just because you're getting that pushback from people. Some of the biggest artists of all time were dropped from labels multiple times, told no, said nobody would believe in them, nobody would get it. And, we look at Katy Perry, Lady Gaga,
Mhm.
Eminem, Prince, you know what I mean? Like, it's just some of the biggest artists ever. They just stuck by what they believed and was stayed true to themselves. And I think in this industry where everybody wants to do this and you got to do that if you want to be successful, you got to do this, like to be able to stay true to yourself. I think people believe that and they recognize when it's real and it's authentic and it's
Mhm.
honest. So that would be my biggest advice. In a world full of no's, say yes to yourself.
Bringing it backward.